When people are sad, most of us imagine tears, breakdowns, or long talks with friends, but some people, the quiet ones, simply disappear. They vanish, not in the dramatic sense, but in the small, almost invisible ways. The unread messages, the silent phone, the canceled plans, it's as if they dissolve into thin air. And you might wonder, why? Why do they pull away when they need someone the most? There's a certain kind of person who has learned that silence is safer than explanation. These are the ones who disappear when sadness hits. They aren't being cold or distant. They're surviving in the only way they know. You see, sadness isn't loud for everyone. For some, it's quiet, private, like a room they lock themselves into until they can breathe again. Psychologists often call this emotional withdrawal. A study published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology in 2018 explored how people regulate emotions under distress. It found that those who habitually suppress emotions tend to isolate themselves as a coping mechanism. They believe disappearing spares others from their pain and spares themselves the vulnerability of being misunderstood. It usually starts early. Maybe they grew up in an environment where emotions weren't welcome. Crying led to scolding, sadness led to shame. So they learned to retreat, to shrink instead of reach out. Dr. Elaine Aron, who studied highly sensitive people, once wrote that sensitive individuals process emotions deeply and need longer to recover. That's why disappearing doesn't mean rejection, it means recovery. But society misreads this silence. We call it avoidance, detachment, even coldness. In truth, it's self-protection. When someone disappears during sadness, they're not saying, I don't care. They're saying, I don't feel safe enough to fall apart in front of you. In many cases, their retreat isn't about the people around them. It's about their own sense of worth. People who disappear when they're sad often carry invisible scars from times when they reached out and were met with indifference. The unanswered messages, the "you'll be fine" responses, the smiles that said "move on." Each of those small dismissals teaches the brain a painful lesson, that opening up equals disappointment. So they build a pattern: silence equals safety, solitude equals control. They go missing not because they want to be alone, but because alone is the only place where they can feel whole again. In 2020, a study by the American Psychological Association examined emotional avoidance and found something heartbreaking. Avoidance doesn't erase pain, it only postpones it. Yet, to someone who disappears when they're sad, postponing pain feels better than exposing it. Vulnerability feels like standing unarmed in a storm, so they hide. They disappear into books, music, long walks, dim rooms. They stay up late at night, staring at the ceiling, replaying everything they didn't say. And yet, inside that silence, they're not doing nothing. They're processing, reflecting, rebuilding. Their solitude isn't empty, it's a quiet repair. If you've ever loved someone who disappears when they're sad, you have probably felt helpless. You have probably wondered if they stopped caring. But the truth is they care deeply, so deeply that they're afraid of hurting you with their storm. What they need isn't pressure, it's presence, not questions, just quiet understanding. A simple, "I'm here when you are ready," means more than 1,000 attempts to pull them out. And if you are one of those people, the ones who disappear, please know this: disappearing doesn't make you weak. It makes you human. You're not broken for needing space. But remember, healing doesn't always live in isolation. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do for yourself is to let someone stay, even when you don't have words. There's a reason why people like you often attract those who talk softly, those who don't demand answers, those who understand silences. Because deep down, what you crave isn't fixing, it's safety. You just want to know that when you fall quiet, someone still stays. Dr. Brené Brown, a researcher known for her work on vulnerability, once said, "We are hardwired for connection, but we armor up to protect ourselves from pain. When you disappear, that's your armor. But every armor, no matter how strong, is meant to come off eventually, not because you're weak, but because life feels warmer without it." You might think disappearing helps you protect others from your sadness, but often it protects your sadness from others. You guard your emotions like fragile glass, afraid the world might shatter them. And that's understandable because to you, Emotions aren't light, they're weight. You feel deeply, quietly, and constantly. But one day you'll realize that disappearing doesn't make pain smaller, it just makes it lonelier. And healing doesn't mean showing your pain to everyone, it means showing it to the right ones, the ones who listen without trying to fix, the ones who don't say cheer up, but instead say take your time. There's a beauty in people who disappear when they're sad. They feel deeply but express gently. They fall apart in silence but rise again in grace. They love in small gestures. A text days later, a soft smile, a quiet apology. These are the souls who teach the rest of us that emotions don't always need to be loud to be real. So, next time someone disappears, don't take it personally. Don't chase them with questions. Just leave the light on, because when they return, they're not looking for explanations, they're looking for safety. And if you're the one who disappears, know this: you're not hard to love. You're just someone who needs to heal in peace. Your silence has meaning, your absence has purpose, and your return, it always carries strength. Maybe disappearing isn't about running away. Maybe it's about finding your way back to calm, to clarity, to yourself. And when you do, you'll realize something beautiful. Even the quietest souls deserve to be heard. Even the ones who disappear deserve to be understood. So take your time, disappear if you must. Just remember to come back. The world and someone out there is still waiting softly for your return.